the original thing that I started working on that led to this was just because I started working on it and then there was some code reuse coming up. So I just started backing up and refactoring so that we didn't reuse code and had some reusable functions and just kind of functionized everything. So let me share my screen and we'll look at some code and kind of what I did. So Dan on the call will be very familiar with this because this is something he and I do quite frequently. And when we're dealing with APIs, and for instance, there's a lot of buildup that goes on with working with MARKET.js. There's, you may need decimals, you may need to access stuff from Web3. There's just a whole lot of other extra code that goes into building up the object that gets submitted to MARKET.js to get back whatever it is you're looking for, whether that's an account balance or depositing collateral or creating an order or whatever it is. So within the dapp now, instead of having to work directly with the functions and do all of that, I started abstracting all of that away into essentially a middleware that sits between MARKET.js library and the dapp. And what this does is turn something that used to look like this every time you wanted to get the account balance into this right here. So instead of having to specify and get the MARKET.js instance, and you don't have to do any of that anymore. All you'll have to do is import the middleware, as you see here. And then all of the functions that would be available on MARKET.js will be available in the middleware, just as they are. Same name, same namespace, everything, or same function name. So the only thing you've abstracted, so the only thing you have to pass to it now is the actual information that's needed, which will be, an amount or a contract address or something very simple, as you might see here. So just to get an address now, instead of having to deal with maybe converting the format from big number to a string, you can now pass it a Boolean saying that you want it to be converted to a string and it'll return it to you in a string format. If you want the actual big number, you can get the big number as well. So it's very clean, very reusable, and very stripped down to just having to deal with what you want and get back what you're asking for instead of all of the other stuff that goes into building it up. And then the same thing can be seen in some exchange. So this will also give you a sneak peek into the coming beta simulation of the exchange that I've been working on. And we'll take a look at that in just a second as well. I just want to show you a more drastic example. So initially, anytime you wanted to deposit collateral, so here's another example of how much abstracting all of that extra stuff away and how clean it makes working with it from the dapp now versus what went on before to work with MARKET.js. So now to deposit collateral, all you simply have to do is pass it an amount that you want to deposit or withdraw. And then the middleware actually comes in here and handles all of the extra stuff, getting the decimals, converting those decimals to a base unit, depositing that collateral, returning your response, showing the successful messages, all of the extra stuff that you don't want to have to deal with every single time you're going to make a deposit or a withdrawal or a trade or any of that. So as we move forward and as I continue to build functionality, we'll continue to add the functions here that we're using, and this will continue to grow until the entire library is covered and we have a very clean and abstract, reusable way of working with the API. And then, so all of that work is being done so that when we come in here, you'll now see that this is the coming functionality for depositing and withdrawing collateral. This is a beta UI. You can select a contract and you'll see that I have some available depositable collateral here, and it's some available withdrawal collateral within this contract, which is an EOS Ethereum contract with an Ethereum collateral. And so you can see that there's a bunch of transactions here that have taken place, and these are just demo withdrawals and deposits that I've made to the contract. So I'm going to do a little quick demo of making a deposit. Quick MetaMask. So there's going to be two requests. The first one is an approval to allow the contract to take the address, and the second one is for your amount. Once your deposit is successful, within a couple of seconds, we're not currently watching the blockchain, so it doesn't update automatically. It's still data. So within a couple of seconds, we just watch our wallet. Still waiting on one more transaction to confirm. All right, so now we should have roughly 27.5 withdrawable collateral. So now we have fully functional. You can add or subtract collateral to a contract. You can now go to our trades, and you'll see I'm working on the interface. Some of this is dummied out. I do have some questions, but I'll take this offline. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole. I just need to get with Phil just to make it known. Phil, I need to get with you after this call. So now we're here, and you can see that we have an available amount in this contract to start making trades. And so we could, this isn't completely connected, but it's starting to get there. And this is very ugly because this is what I'm actively working on. And this is what I started working on before I backed up to refactor all of that stuff, because there was some reuse, obviously here, wanting to know how much available collateral we had. I didn't want to start duplicating code, so I just backed up and refactored all of that, so it was really nice and useful. So now we're progressing through here, and this is where we're at. And if you make a confirmation, I've started building up the order object, and you can see that here, and that's kind of where we are. So that's what I have to show for the week and what's coming in the pipeline in regards to a simulation of the exchange.